there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at Democracy 4, the brand new game from Positech Games. It's a game series I've been playing for a while. I've been playing for many years. I think the high point for me was Democracy 3. I really got into that game. I'm a big fan of Positech as well. They've done some good sort of life simulators and different kind of roleplay-esque, kind of simplistic games with vast emergent gameplay. And that's what I like, a very simplistic idea style that they make absolutely shine. Just absolutely shine. So right now we're playing on version 1.12. The game is still under embargo for a few days as time of writing, so there could be a little more to come in terms of what will be ready when that drops, and we'll be able to see at release exactly what we're available to play as in the game in terms of nations, if there's any adjustments for game balance, and so on. Before we go any further, I would like to say that this is, a review copy. I have been gifted this. I am very thankful for that, because as I say, it is one of my sort of favorite games that I find myself getting drawn into and sucked into. I love those games, and I'm really hoping this is as good, if not better, than Democracy 3. I've had a quick look, like a minute tops. Really, there's nothing that looks too different. There's slight differences in the layout that mean things look a little clearer, and we will be running through things. But my first impressions are going to come out over the course of this video, and we will be doing a series on this once that embargo date drops. So, but first let me run you through a couple of things in terms of what we are doing. Okay, so one thing I really like is that this is a game by Positech, but that's mainly Cliffsky. Cliffsky is behind these games. He is, as a one-man gaming company, in effect, that is slowly developing beyond that and starting to, gain a little bit more in terms of scope and what they're able to do with the games and bringing outside help in. And they've done that this time, but for me, what I really appreciate is Cliff has opened up, basically, a public Trello board. For those of you that don't know, Trello is somewhere where you can basically work with other people, and it's just basically a list of different things. You can put up posts and in different sections, and he's got content to be produced, bugs to fix, design ideas to work on, balance changes, work in progress right now, fixed pending next game update, and completed task. Now, for example, some of the completed tasks already done are fixing typos, renaming internet currency to cryptocurrency. Maybe a policy to ban coal use for energy. Some of these have screenshots. They have different people assigned to them, and Cliff can create these and assign different people to the tasks which need doing. Main reason I say this is because at the moment we know this is not the full accompaniment of countries we can play as. Last I checked was last night. Canada was 2 out of 9. And those 9 are country icon and flag icon, which were checked, and then stats and description, prerequisites, internal policy positions, overrides, country-specific items, financial balancing, and names. Today, that's 5 out of 9. So, Canada is coming in very soon. That'll be the next build, I would assume. And then add 2 out of 9 content to be produced: Australia, Spain, and Italy. So there is more coming. There's some here bits that needs working on. There's some bugs that they know they need to fix. And there is a few things that I've discovered as bugs basically in the game. When you change resolution, the text on the left-hand side does not really show up the way it should. So there is that, but as I say, Canada almost sort of halfway done now and ready to sort of come in, hopefully, over the next few days, with Australia, Spain, Italy all ready to follow. Like I say, that adds another 4 countries, which is really good. Basic options, if I do change any of these, I think I went to 16:9, left it full screen. And then when I do that, you can see there are bugs and a couple other bits. So then you've got to go back in and just now go back to the max and let it kick on through and come back. So at the moment it works on max resolution full screen. It doesn't really like too much else. I have tried window and it does work on some resolution. So there are still at this stage bugs in the game 1.12. As I say, those are being resolved though. So with all that being said, let's take a look at what this game actually has to offer right now. So you can see up here you've got Australia, Canada, Italy and Spain. You can see they're grayed out, but they are on the way, and as I've said, currently Canada is ahead of the other three in terms of development, but all should be in fairly soon. You can see a little bit of blurb about the countries. You've got America, you've got the UK, Germany and France. They've each got these stats. Some are worth more than others in terms of actual information. We take a look here at the USA. You can see the population size, largest city, how much is agricultural land, the ethnicity, the national anthem, the tourist destination, the most popular food, and the biggest industry. Now, some of these really won't matter. Like the ethnicity might if you're trying to end sort of racial tension, or you're trying to set up a certain community over the other. It depends really how you want to play, because this is open-ended in that as long as you get elected, you can kind of change the country into anything you want. So it's balancing of winning the vote by giving popular decisions, but also steering the country in that way which you think it should be run. And maybe you're able to do both at the same time. Maybe it's doing one to set you up for the other. Who knows? But honestly, I think, you know, some of this like that is kind of a slightly useful, but not really useful. The anthem, tourist destination, really isn't. The food probably isn't. I mean, that could just be obesity, with cheeseburgers not being healthy as opposed to something else, perhaps. But you can see not everybody has that. Not everybody has that. The wealthiest citizen as well, again, not really something which comes in. But you do see the exports on some of the others and imports and what they're world leaders in. So some of this information is key in terms of how the country works. Like, America's got a lot of farmers. If you're going to desubsidize the farmers and, you know, really go away from that and try and turn yourself into more of a technological marvel, then perhaps you're losing a good half of the vote. Here you can see the religion numbers. If you're trying to make it a non-religious country, then maybe you can do that with the Muslim and Hindu population fairly low, but the Christian population is almost 60%. That's going to be a lot of voters you're upsetting. So to do that in the UK might not be the best way. You can see our exports and what we can do. And yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff in here that you can kind of see how things work. So for me, I thought I'm living in America. I'm from the UK. So why not try France or Germany? And at the moment, I think for me, France is kind of interesting. But Germany, possibly one of the powerhouses in mainland Europe, has been for a while, kind of holds the EU together. Let's see if we can make them a bastion of whatever we wish. Now, we've got these sliders here, so the debt isn't really that high. I mean, it's okay. It's nearly 2 trillion, but still, it's not that high. You can see the innate socialism and liberalism. The political apathy is, you know, how sort of over things people are and probably won't care to vote. You can do an economic cycle. You can put the difficulty up or down. You can add compulsory voting or not. You can pick your party name. You can also type your own in. There are some real parties in here, and there are some just weird stuff. I do like that. So I think we're going to be... I like that. I don't know why, but the no going back party. No return to the old ways. Future thought, we're going ahead. We're going to be facing off against the Party for Change, which is a very, very similar idea, I guess. And we'll also go up against someone else in that vein of the Futurist Party. So everybody's looking ahead, but we're disagreeing on how to do it. We're going to go into Germany. Default stats, you can twist these around if you want, but let's go and see what the game looks like and how it all sets up. You can see here, we're now Chancellor of Germany. You can see a little bit now about your citizens to start with. Re-election in 4 years. We've got 4 years to do whatever we can to improve the situation of the country and then be able to kind of bring those voters back. Right now, health looks good. Education looks good. Poverty's pretty decent. Could do some work there. Same as with health. GDP is okay, but not really amazing. It does look like we've got unemployment and crime, which basically I think will fit into one another there, with unemployment kind of leading to more crime. So maybe we look at more getting jobs in there, increasing the GDP, opening up jobs. That'll bring poverty even further down. That might bring crime down. We've got a plan of action just based on this, but there's a lot more. All these circles, they all have something to say in how the country runs. And it can be slightly, ever so slightly, overwhelming. Don't worry too much of it. Taking it step by step. Up in the top left, you can see our income. That's how much money we're getting in via our policies, which are the majority of these circles. The expenditure is how much we're spending on those circles. You can see we've got a deficit every year, currently of 15 billion. If we want to get away from that debt and start reducing that, then that will be something that we need to focus on. Because currently we're adding to that debt. You can see here each turn is 3 months. That means 16 turns before the 4 years are up and the next election is in there. Looking at the first stat here, we've got Intel. There is a tutorial, I've already looked at some of it. Right now you can see there really isn't anything to worry about. But as we enact more policies, as we start doing things, that will be a factor. You can see armed police is currently 30%. It affects a bunch of different things, but the more we arm the police, the more these bars change. And you can kind of balance them where you want, and they're going to cost even more. So if we revert the change, we can see we're spending a little bit here. If we really wanted to go up and like double the amount we're spending, then employment goes down, vigilante mobs and organized crime goes down, crime and violent crime goes down. They're all really good, but you'll upset the liberals. And that can be a problem. Balancing out where you upset people and where you bring them back. Now, this looks like a great policy in terms of what's it really hurting. Vigilante mobs, we don't want those. Organized crime, tiny bit of unemployment because we're creating state jobs. That's all good. Violent crime and crime also go down with organized crime. All those are fantastic. And yet the liberals don't like having armed police. And okay, that's a fair idea. Yes, I can understand why they would not want that. Yeah. But I would still want to do it. And I'm actually going to do this one. So you can see here we can... For one, we can kind of... for 3 here, we can kind of... increase in here a little bit. 6 is in here. And then 1 beforehand. And yeah. That's fine. That's all I need to spend. I'm very happy. If we came down again, it'd be 6 to just bring it down a little bit. It'd be 1 to bring it down here. 22 to bring it down here and like defund, basically. Defund the armed police. We can also cancel the policy, but that's too much political capital. We've got 16 at the moment. Our ministers, which we'll look at in a moment, will be responsible for generating that. You can see here to raise it, there's a little bit more in every bit. So you can see there's 3 there, there's 6 there, and there's 1 here. It says 12, and it says 6, 11, 22. That's 6. That only shows 1. That shows a 22. So I'm wondering, is that going to be 12? Yeah, so it is going to be 12. At the moment, it only says 1. That's going to be the bulk of what we can do in this first turn. But I'm actually going to do it and bring some more armed police in. Again, your CCTV cameras, they really do a lot of good. You can impress the Conservatives. You're really going to hate. You're really gonna hate this if you're a Liberal. So we can find that sweet spot where we still got a little bit of points. But again, it's not going to change too much there. Intelligence services, again, Liberals not going to like this. But again, it brings crime a long way down. So if I can just find that right on the key bit where it's 4. And I think I'm pretty good with that. I'm going to attack crime to begin with. We're starting that off. ID cards, again, Liberals absolutely hate this. Absolutely hate this. But again, it does target crime. Now, this is what the Liberals like and dislike. This like on here is how many people are actually in certain places. The Conservatives and the Liberals and parents and farmers and all those kind of things. That's what we've got over here. All these different people. Now, if we look at the Liberals, everything feeding in here, every line is either red or green. That is either increasing or decreasing the popularity. So we can see if we look at the top left up here, gambling and gay marriage, the alcohol law, they are all really good for the Liberals. They really like that. But then we've got intelligence services and armed police, we know. We've got school prayers, food standard agency, executive term limit is both increasing and decreasing, perhaps. You can see child benefits push it up, border controls and military spending push it down. So you get a good idea of what the Liberals like. You look at the middle income. The welfare fraud they're really a big fan of, but income tax is a big line and it's moving quickly. That is killing your popularity with that group. And again, you want to see how else that gets and affects things. The socialists like the income tax, the wealthy don't, the capitalists don't, the middle income really don't. But it does increase equality, does really hurt charity, cryptocurrency adoption, middle earnings, poor earnings, high earnings, and your GDP. But you do need to make money somehow. And that's what each of these sections does. This is, as you can see in the background, tax. This is your economy. This is your welfare department, your foreign policy, transport, law and order, and the public services. These red circles inside these are issues. Currently flashing is alcohol abuse. Because people are abusing alcohol, that is costing us $3.26 billion, not from policy, but just because of the issue. Because people are drinking too much. It's decreasing health, it's increasing crime, it's increasing violent crime, it's increasing the demand on our healthcare. What is driving this line up? The alcohol consumption. The police force is bringing it down, but only by a very small amount, and that is being more than countered by the poverty level as is. So, unemployment, poverty, if we can resolve those, if we can get crime down, if we can bring the police force back into things, and more of a police state in certain ways, but with very strict regulations on what they can do, I always find is a fun way to try and turn a country. But the alcohol consumption, why is there a high alcohol consumption? Well, because the alcohol awareness campaign's doing next to nothing. Legal drug consumption's bringing it down, but not really. The alcohol law, the GDP, poverty, unemployment. Again, we're seeing poverty and unemployment. But you can also see what else that is pushing up. And it's a lot of the same things as we saw before. You can then see internet crime has gone through the roof. Why? Because crime and technology and organised crime are really kicking on. We are bringing that back down. The intelligence services will come into that. Sadly, as you can see, the start trigger is way higher. So you need to have a certain level before it becomes a real issue for you to deal with. It hit that point here, and it's been above ever since. But now you need to get it way down below where it started. Now it continues being an issue where it wouldn't have been if it didn't cross this line. You could have hugged at the bottom of this line the entire way, and internet crime would never be a bad issue. But as soon as it crosses, that stop trigger is way, way lower. Again, you can see technology. Technology's high, that's really driving it up. You have good technology levels, you have internet crimes. There's only a certain way of doing that. This is what's driving up your technology, this is what it affects. As you can see, a lot of these are pretty good sort of things. But the internet crime is the main thing that's being driven up. So you need to try and figure out how you're going to do that. You take down that internet crime by reducing the organised crime and crime overall. And then that might drop below here, then you get your intelligence services up. I think we can get that below the stop trigger. The blue things, these are just metrics to keep an eye on in terms of what's happening within your country. So how many people are using cars? Why? How it's being affected and what that does to your country. More people who use cars, the worse the environment becomes. The more people have respiratory diseases because of the emissions. But you get a lot of different incomes from that. You're also getting obesity because people aren't walking or cycling. The oil demand goes up, so you're depending on oil prices. You can see here how it's being pushed. Road building. We're building roads and we've got good GDP. That means people are going to be using cars more. That leads into everything else. So you can try and go to a totally non-car system with public infrastructure and also public transport up really, really high. Here you can see education is amazingly high. They've done a good job already in Germany, apparently, of absolutely throwing so much at great education. And that's bringing crime, racial tension, and violent crime down. Stability, productivity, and human development is up. That is outstanding. And then you can click on something else. And again, you can follow through pathways. You can dive down the rabbit holes and say, okay, education's really good. So that increases human development. That sounds amazing. But what does that do? Immigration goes up very slightly. Tourism goes up. It doesn't really affect the membership of religions. But everybody likes it, and we don't receive as much foreign aid. It's not really an issue, in my opinion. Productivity. Why do you want productivity? So more money comes in from abroad, your GDP goes up, your trade goes up, you don't have an uncompetitive economy, and your unemployment sadly can go up because you don't need as many workers to do what you would otherwise. But there are key things. So really, these red circles you are trying to eliminate. As much as possible, you are trying to eliminate. These circles have now lost their green around it because we now lack the political capital. These are our ministers, one in each section. They are generating the capital. You can see how happy or how good they are by clicking on them. Like this guy, he's in at the moment foreign policy. It's a job he wants. He generates 1.2 capital. But he's not really experienced, he's not loyal, he's not really effective in that. He's a self-employed capitalist, so those are who he backs. And as you can see, if we look here, capitalists don't really like us too much. And the self-employed don't really like us too much, which means he doesn't really like us. Again, same here with the socialist and retired. Retired's not too bad. Retired's not too bad, I guess. And the socialists kind of like us. You can see how many people are in each thing by their bar up here. So you can see this half the country is pretty much capitalist. They don't really like us. So something like the self-employed, for example, that's quite a low bar. There aren't that many self-employed people. There's 15, 16%. They're moderately unhappy. They're kind of trusting right now. We don't really need to focus on them. They're such a small part of the population. But the liberals, that's quite a lot of people. The conservatives, slightly less, but still quite high. Capitalists, quite high. And the poor. The poor and the socialists, the transunionists, like, these are the bars to care about. So, at the beginning of the game, I think that's where I would focus. I'd start looking at who's got the most people that's the most unhappy. Slightly conservatives, capitalists, commuters, trade unionists. And then you can see why. Because there's a gig economy. There's private healthcare, which they don't like. Unemployment is making them unhappy. But there are some really good things that they like. There are some really good things. And you can see here, this is their chart. So, from the trade unionists, a lot of people within this group are kind of not really for or against us, I'd say. Some people that do, you can see the voting probability as well is quite high on a few of these. So these are the kind of people I like, and I can take a look at one of them, for example, and see that he is Gerald Richter. He is loyal. He doesn't belong to a party or an organization. He's probably going to vote. He's quite active, fairly loyal in terms there right now. He's not radicalized at all. And these are where his influences are coming in. And yeah, lose a little bit because everybody doesn't really like us. The trade unionists don't. That kind of affects him. And you can see here, though, the environmentalists, though, that is big bonus for us. He's slightly liberal. He is, he likes the retired. He's here with the poor. Has some decent stuff. So you can see how it all feeds in. And again, you can just start clicking through and figure out why people don't like you. But, yeah, for me, it's doing those kind of things. We've already done our stuff for the turn. As we look back here as well, you can see the weighted icons. You can see the finances, value, influence, policy, popularity. Here in the polls, again, you can see how many people might vote and where the disposable income is. Seems like the poor have quite a lot, actually, of disposable income, which is interesting. In the polling here, you can see where everybody's going to go and check out the focus groups. And at the moment, like, the environmentalists love us, the poor, socialists, state employees, retired, farmers. The motorists hate us. The commuters hate us. We can't win. We can't win there. The conservatives kind of hate us. So one thing we can do is try and get these memberships down. If we really try and stop people from being motorists, it doesn't matter they don't like us. There's a third of the country we can try and whittle down, perhaps. You've only got a set amount of time to do all this, though. We've seen the focus group. We've seen the changes as they'll come in over time. And here we are on the whole thing. We are slightly liberal and ever so slightly capitalist, it seems. So that's going to be interesting. That's where we open up. Finances, again, where we're spending money, where we're getting money, how it's being spent, how everything is balanced, how to avoid a debt spiral. And then the ideas, new ideas. We got each of the 6 sections. We can click on them, and you can see here how popular certain things is, what they're going to cost in terms of political capital, in terms of finances every single turn. You can see here as well how long it will actually take to come in, 2 quarters. So even though you enact something, it's not going to come in straight away. You can see here as well, there's a bunch of different people who'll be happy or unhappy. Nobody would want this. Nobody likes this. This is going to take a bunch of people further down the unhappy track. And we can't automate trading. We can't limit the automated trading. You can see here unemployment might go down. Membership in religions might go down, but we'll get more patriots. We'll get more state employees, or they'll like us more, actually. And our technology level goes up, which isn't as good as it could be, as we saw with the internet crime. But it can cost a lot. But we can set a program to land on Mars. You can look here at the taxes and increase new taxes and set things in. Junk food tax. We can see where things will come out on terms of their own on their own axes. And here we got bus subsidies again. That will get commuter memberships up and motorists down. Limit or ban cars in city, get the motorist membership down. High rail subsidies, free bus passes. There's a number of things you can do. So anything to do with transport, law and order, including setting big things like adding a death penalty, racial profiling, rubber bullets, secret courts, tasers, water cannons. Like, it's up to you how you build the country. Are you a dictator? Are you a police state? Are you benevolent? Are you an eco warrior? Are you a technology marvel? Are you on free drugs? Are you banning drugs? Are you taxing the wealthy? Are you taxing the poor? There's border walls, drone strikes, tourism. There's oh so much here that you can throw in to make changes. It's unbelievable. Bunch of achievements. You can see so many here and more to be added. You can see now your cabinet, who's producing what and how, basically, how loyal they are. So you can see here the loyalty and effectiveness. Right now we've got a good transport, law and order, public service minister. He's not very effective at getting voters in, but we've got a couple that are, so that's not too bad. Again, the economy isn't, but we do make up. So these 5, I would say, are all pretty good. But we would have to keep all these people happy. The trade unionists, youth, the farmers, the liberals, the patriots, the capitalists, the state employment employees, the environmentalists, the religious, and the patriots. That's a lot. A couple of patriots in there, though. Not really loyal, and not really that good at their job, is Herbert Bergman, currently in charge of foreign policy, and Bertha Schultz in charge of tax. So we can't reshuffle the cabinet, which would be completely just hire new people. We can't fire them because that also costs capital. But we can look here and say, okay, tax and foreign policy. Tax and foreign policy. So, Antje Berger likes the tax job, and they would be really in for that, but is a religious conservative, which I think some of our policies would possibly steer us away from. But their loyalty is high, their campaigning's high, their political capital they generate per turn is high. That wouldn't be too bad. It does look like a lot of these tax people are actually religious, which is interesting. Environmentalist capitalist, I think that would be a really good fit. Again, she can't really do tax. Can she do foreign policy? Yes. So she might be someone to bring in a little later on for that, and then we can look at someone else that's pretty good here, like a motorist liberal or a motorist trade unionist. Yeah, motorist liberal I think would be better then. So bring in Ilona Schuster as well, perhaps. And between those two, who knows, perhaps we're in a good place. So we'll see about that. But those are the limited sort of look at who we can hire and who we can't. Again, we've still got our different things here. You can play light or dark skin, depending what suits you best. I'm used to light skin. I'm probably going to end up going to the dark skin at some point. Electioneering, you can see here as well. There's a boost to the Futurist Party and their turnout. the number of members they've got and the number of activists they've got. So yeah, it's not looking great right now, I would say. Not looking great, no. The Party for Change really isn't too much of a factor. We can probably get past them. But we do need to get like 15 million members or a party with a big boost to a turnout. Get the activists on the street to get back in 4 years' time. We need to really grow that as we're developing the country. We can sit here, manifesto pledges, just sort of see what we have. That will come up bit by bit. Speeches when election is coming up, you'll see your things here. Fundraising as well. We're not doing too bad. We got a little bit of money, but not much. You can also see with your party donors why they are donating and how much they're able to donate. And again, you can see there aren't that many people who really back us. And then our perceptions. They don't think we're a strong leader. We've done a couple of things that will improve that, actually. And then you've got trustworthiness and compassionate. They do think we are. We can also do media stunts if we have enough capital again. So for a strong leader, we can do judo with the special forces, be interviewed while jogging, a Photoshop of windsurf. I'm not sure why that's a... I'm not sure why that would be so much of a strong leader, because I can windsurf. Okay, charity football match and be filmed hunting with a rival. So some of these might have backfired sort of events. Some of them might affect different groups in certain ways. You can see the success chance, the impact that it might have, and also the cost. Normally the cost and the impact are tied in how effective they're roughly going to be. Success chance is extra. So the best success I can see would be interviewed while jogging, which is a huge 6 points. Only a 16% chance here. For 65%, I can get a bigger impact for judo for the same price. Or a decent one here for 4, just playing in a charity match. Again, trustworthy. You can see what seems to be here. And what they might do. And compassion. So, you only get a limited amount of capital that you can spend. There is so much to spend it on. Like, an unbelievable amount of money to spend it on. Overall, though, popularity right now isn't good. Is not good. Peak value of 23% popularity. You can see here 21.2% is where we currently are. We're down. We need to get past that 50 in 4 years to go and get the job done. You end your turn, that's your 3 months. You return here and you get this little report. We can see that crime's already going down. Crime is going down because we spent a little bit of our policy on that. We've already armed the police a little bit more. We've still got more to come on that. You can see the intelligence services have been increased. Those were the main 2 we did. Crime is decreasing. Nothing else really has been touched. You can see, though, that we're so close here to multinational tax evasion, and now we need to figure out why. Do we bring down corporation tax? Do we bring down sales tax? Technology is always going to be pushing that up. We cannot let that go up. We've got enough red bubbles to deal with. So there is that, and yeah, they don't like us right now. But okay, Subsidy Sam. We've gained an achievement. If you want to get something done, you subsidize it. That should be our national anthem. Should we subsidize the anthems? Have we tried subsidizing the writing of achievement descriptions? Nice. That's 3% on there. We're loyal. We are losing money. And then we've got this here. Violent video games. Murder simulators. Should we ban certain games and restrict them to over 18s? We can decide. So, let's see what I would want to do. Scant hard evidence shows any direct real link between video games and violence. Possibility of the act as catharsis. Prevents people from being violent. Knee-jerk response from people looking for a simple solution to violence in society. Violence that existed long before the first video game was created. I pretty much agree with that. I do kind of agree with that. It can be. There are impressionable minds out there, but yeah, there's very little, if any, link. Censor games, maybe no proven link, but you don't have to play many to see how the influence they have on impressionable young people may be having, or must be having, on a negative impact on society. Interactive medium like to have far more direct effect than passive entertainment such as books, television, or movies. I think there's an argument to the desensitization of young people to murder and theft and all that kind of things, and yeah, there's something in both of these that I agree with. And this is what I like about the game. It really does a good job for me of not making me comfortable picking one thing. I don't really want to censor games, but yeah, it does make sense, and I still think Leave Unchanged is a bit better, but censor games has its argument that I can't ignore. Add warning labels. Banning is a step too far. Important parents have the information they need. System of warnings should be sufficient. I think that's the most realistic. That's kind of what I would do. So you can see here the youth don't like us, but the parents do, because we've just added warning labels. And every single turn, you will get a little bit about that. And again, you'll see kind of who is funneling in their political capital and how it's coming. So right now we're getting 16 per turn. As I say, there is so much in here that we possibly need to take care of. You can see now the memberships are starting to grow. So these are people who are going to protest, and then these are the people that may kind of try and assassinate us. So big increases in the Rural Alliance and the Diversity Alliance. So farmers and sort of gender equality and racial equality kind of types here. More environmental, more liberals, and also the evangelicals. So they're growing quite quick. They are growing quite quick. They're not actually like threats. Nobody's a threat assessment, but we're growing those groups apparently. I would kind of like to look at my cabinet. So that would be 3 to fire. And bring my 2 people in. I think I'm okay with that. Okay. So yeah, so foreign policy. So foreign policy would be decent. Religious motorist, not really. Environmental capitalist, Kirsten Bomb, 1.8. I think that's decent. We'll bring her in. Now, because we fired the cabinet, like, people aren't happy. That's a little bit of an issue. And then tax. So you can see here laid out in black are the tax people: religious conservatives, religious motorist, self-employed motorist, self-employed capitalist. Yeah, a few people don't like us. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. We're going to gain a little bit more capital than we would before. And I want to start putting in, I think, a few more law and order sort of things. So we need to get some good popularity. So what's going to give us popularity with voters? It's going to take down crime, violent crime, antisocial, alcohol abuse, unemployment, racial tension. I love all those. Liberal and liberalism, I don't mind that. It's going to cost a bit, but you know what? I think we're going to throw that in. Community policing. Big increase there. Let's get that started. More law and order stuff. Witness protection, I mean, it's going to be kind of popular. And it kills the crime, which is something we really like. It doesn't cost too much a turn. Economy, no. What can we do? Farmers and farmer memberships can come up. Tax breaks, no. Pushes up technology we don't really want. Poverty, unemployment, down. Capitalists, down. I mean, state telecoms could be okay. International trade. There's not really much money coming in there. So tax. Capitalists would really dislike it, but the self-employed and socialists would like it. It's popular with the voters. Foreign relations goes down. But it does bring in more money. And we do need to bring in more money. Plastic bag or health subsidies. We don't want to spend money. So let's upset the capitalists even more right now. Get the environmentalists fully on our side. We still got a few points here. We got 1 point. What can we do with that? Witness protections coming in. Healthy eating reduces obesity. Let's do it. Health goes up. All those goes up. And it's not a huge increase. So again, we are losing more money, but we need to. We're working to try and get the crime on side. We're trying to get health on side. We'll knock out a few of these bubbles as best we can. We've reshuffled the cabinet a little bit there, bringing people in. So our popularity right now is 1930. Did we do anything to improve that? There are no longer vigilante mobs. We have killed the vigilante mobs. The police that we put in there, we've got rid of vigilantes on the street. That is absolutely amazing. Cyberbullying is on the rise. I mean, okay, I'm not sure how we get away from that, but okay. We're doing okay. And look at that. We've enacted these policies. We dropped a couple here, but we've really jumped up. These have been popular. And they take the country in the way I want them to kind of head in the future. We've done a few good things. We're heading towards that 50%. I'm okay with that. Our popularity is up. We're still upsetting people, especially the capitalists and the conservatives at this point. But I think we need to fix some of the problems we've got. State schools, more modern textbooks. Let's have a look. If I push that all the way up, as much as I can. So education goes up, the socialism goes up, poor state employees, and the memberships and a bunch of stuff, including the income for state employees. Unemployment and poverty go down. Capitalists again hate us, and private schools way, way down. But you know what? That's possibly a little too expensive to do. But I do like it. I do like it. Stem cell. Religious conservatives hate it. Compulsory school sports. The kids hate it. But obesity goes down. Again, it's not a huge amount of capital or money. I'm happy to do that. Foreign language classes. Patriots absolutely hate it, but it takes down a little bit of racial tension and increases a ton of good things. Again, not a lot of money, not a lot of capital. I'm happy to do that. Middle income really hates us. Middle income would really hate us, won't they? It's not like they like us much anyway. It's not really much money there. We need to find something that's going to give us some money that we're going to be able to kind of do something with. So again, middle income. That's extra 3 billion right there. I'm happy to do that. People don't like it. People really don't like it. That's fine. Absolutely fine. Extra 100 million there. Oil demand will go down, but everybody else will be happier. Yeah, why not? We can throw that down, and yeah, that's crazy, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. Antisocial behaviour is on its way down. Organised crime's almost done. We've already done that. Internet crime on the way down, because organised crime and crime are on the way down themselves. Alcohol abuse is going to take some time. That's fine. Gridlock, I mean, that's going up right now. If we build roads, that will go down, but that may just be better try and get people away from cars. Hospital overcrowding. We need to figure out a way to do that, but again, obesity and a few other things are playing into that. So when we get rid of obesity, which is again starting to go down ever so slightly, that's also going to have an issue here with respiratory disease. We're going to try and get that down, I guess, soon. We've got an uncompetitive economy, but we only barely went over the line. That was enough to trigger, and now being below it isn't enough to end. That kind of sucks. That really does kind of suck. And a gig economy, we're right there. We're right there. So, again, we need to figure out how to do things here. Maybe just getting rid of unemployment a bit more. And that will bring us back down. So, we're not too bad, actually, I would say, at this stage. Popularity going up. It's a little bit of a membership increase. You see some more threats being developed. It's not too bad. Corporate manslaughter. Negligence resulting in loss of life. Yeah, there's so much here about it. You know, this is true with subcontractors, and actually applying blame is difficult. It won't really change much, I think, realistically. But it might save lives. It might actually save lives, and I think that's where I'm at. Capitalists don't like us a bit. The Liberals are pretty happy, but the trade unionists who don't like us really like that. And again, it's kind of a group that might be good for us. Right now, socialists, state employees, the poor, and the environmentalists love us. Commuters, conservatives, motorists, parents, religious, trade unionists, and wealthy hate us. Ignore the wealth. Look at that bar. How many wealthy are there? 1 million. 1.3 million. Eat the rich. Eat the rich. Let's go. Let's go. Our 18.03 billion deficit. We'll see how that kind of goes. National teams won the World Cup. Great random event there for us. Angry car salesman. So he doesn't like this. Sweet. Carolus, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm not about that. I'm not about that. The budget deficit's actually gone down quite a lot. They're supportive, and right now the polls, look at that. We're pandering to the masses, but we're also solving problems, and we're pushing the nation in our own direction that we want to. I think that's a good thing to be doing. I'm very, very happy. People aren't happy in the cabinet right now. I mean, I'm not keeping their groups happy. I'm not doing the right things, maybe. But overall, you can see here, if we look here in terms of who people in the country really are, they're poor, socialist, liberal, capitalists. That's kind of what they are. There's a lot of ethnic minorities. We care about the environment. Conservatives, you know, middle-income commuter, state employees who really like us. Maybe we need to win round the commuters. Maybe that's the next big group to kind of bring on side. Because if we go after the conservatives, we lose the liberals. And there's more liberals. And I'm kind of more liberal myself. So yeah, thinking that way might be a way of doing it, but we don't really care about patriotism or the wealthy. Sadly, not about farmers or the self-employed or the retired or the youth right now because they can't vote, or the religious motorists or parents apparently. But yeah, you can kind of figure out where you are. You can see which groups like you the most and least, which are the most populous, and A to Z right there. So you can easily tell at a glance what you've got. But at the moment, I think we're in a really good place. As I say, I think that's a really, really decent one. We've cut the deficit every month. We've slowly started working on these. Organised crime, it's tailing off. We need to do more work on the law and order to get organised crime gone, I think. And that might just bring down more of that internet crime. Alcohol is going to be solved through attacks. Antisocial behaviour is probably going to be gone in that same vein. And then it's health. There's a little bit of gridlock. And there's a little bit of economy issues to fix. But really, we're in a good place. We're actually in a good place. Optional school prayers. On parents' request, you can see here, we can just negate a little bit of issues. We can cancel the entire policy. And that'll bring down racial tension. I'm perfectly happy with doing that. Yeah, I don't want racial tension. I really don't. So we can do away with that. What's this? Firearms. Interesting. Police force. Medium. Oh, look at that. See, we can spend our remaining couple of points here. The Conservatives will like us more. But again, we get rid of so many bad things. That brings down the alcohol. That brings down the antisocial, the crime. I'm in. I am in. A little bit more of a police force. Maybe we increase that a little bit later on again. But I think that gets us in a good place. But like I say, that is where we're going to leave it for now. So this is Democracy 4. This is how it plays. It's very similar to Democracy 3. It's a very simplistic game with complex mechanics. Depending how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. Hopefully I've shown you it's nothing to be as scared of as perhaps it looks at first glance. But I think they've done a good job at Positech of refining what information you saw in Democracy 3 without overwhelming you. So hopefully that is all good for you. In the meantime, though, thank you very much for watching. I've been Chris Orme. Take care. This is out very soon. Keep an eye on it. Check it out on Steam and other gaming platforms. And I'll see you soon.